Hello everyone, and welcome back to the channel. We're currently hiking along the Raiders Road in the Galloway Forest Park for a night of wild camping. Trace is with me. Say hi, Trace. So we parked the truck down at the little hamlet of Mossdale, and we're going to hike for about 6 miles, 6.5 miles, and hopefully camp at the otter pools tonight. But it's pretty mild, and I'm convinced I've just seen some midges. If they're not midges, they're very small flies. But I think it's going to be pretty mild tonight. Low of about 2 degrees, so not too bad. So yeah, we're having fun so far, aren't we, Trish?
Yes.
Bit knackered, like I haven't been backpacking for a while, so I'm feeling it. We've only walked for 3 miles. But as you can see, this track, you know, it's kind of flanked on either side by conifer plantations, but every now and again you'll see a clearing amongst the trees and you can get some really nice views over at the surrounding hills. I can see one just there. Yeah, so we'll crack on and we'll catch up with you in a bit. So it's about 2:15 now, and we're almost at the otter pools, and we've just kind of come off the track and walked into this woodland because we saw a little potential camp spot. Now, one thing I have noticed in the Galloway Forest Park is that there's not a lot of good areas to pitch a tent. I mean, if you come with a hammock, you should be alright, but due to the nature of commercial forestry, the ground's always really uneven. You know, the kind of when they plant the trees, they dig channels. I'll just give you a look, I don't know if you can see behind. The ground's often really uneven. Just, you know, you just end up with lots of mounds of earth. And there's a drainage channel been dug in here, which I'm just going to try and cross, if you bear with me. But just before Christmas, me and Tris, we hiked up to Loch Grannock, and we decided to walk past to see if we could find somewhere else to camp, because a car full of lads ended up going up to Loch Grannock. But we walked for miles. I think 8 miles we done, and we just couldn't find anywhere to pitch the tent. The forest is just so dense and the ground so uneven. So if you're coming up to this area and you're not really sure where you're going to be camping, my advice is to bring a hammock. I can see quite a few good setups here between these 2 trees. That would be a decent place to camp with a hammock. But you have to watch out for the branches as well. There's tons of dead branches on this variety of pine. Not really sure what species it is. I don't know if it's Sitka spruce. Probably is, actually. It's what they tend to plant most up here. I could be wrong though. But yeah, the ground's really uneven and it's not good for tent camping. But we found this little spot here, which is just off the track, where we're just chilling out for a bit. A few mole hills, isn't there, Trish?
Yeah, there are.
A few little mole hills kicking around. and there's a little flat area here which I think has been used in the past as a campsite, but even that, it's not really any good. So yeah, probably spend the next 10 minutes here, just rest for a bit, get the packs off our back, and then I think we've got about 3/4 of a mile and we'll be at the otter pools. So yeah, we'll see you in a bit. We arrived at the otter pools around 20 minutes ago, and we've got the place to ourselves, which I was expecting really. It's a really busy place in summer, or when the road's open. There's a big car park here, and I don't know if you can make that building out in the background there. There's a toilet, and it's usually full of camper vans, and then people come and camp down by the river. So it's usually really busy, but the road's shut between at the end of October, I think it shuts, and then opens again at the end of spring. So you have to either cycle in or hike in when the road's shut. But you know, you get the place to yourself. It's actually a really nice area. The river's lovely, and you've got plenty of places to pitch a tent alongside the river. But yeah, we're just going to eat some food at the moment, just have a late lunch. So we're having some dehydrated food for our late lunch. What I've got here is a fire pot beef stew with pearl barley, and Trish has got the chili con carne with rice. Now, I've just had a taste of the chili con carne, and it's actually pretty nice, but I'll be honest, the beef stew with pearl barley, it's just not very good. I wouldn't recommend it. I ended up buying a few packets of these from one of the outdoor shops when they had an offer on. So I think this is about the 5th or 6th time I've eaten it, and it doesn't get any better, I can tell you. But what else, well, what we've got for dinner tonight is a real termat. I think it's kebab stew. So the real termat are the Norwegian dehydrated meal companies. I'm not sure if they're dehydrated or freeze dried, so I'll let you know how I get on with that one. So I'm just walking down the other end of the otter pools to see if there's anywhere decent to camp in amongst the trees, but there isn't. I don't know if you can just make it out behind. It's all the same kind of uneven ground, no good for pitching a tent at all. But I've noticed a big old tree that's fallen down here, so I'm going to check it out. I don't know when this tree came down, probably during one of the recent storms that we've had. I'll tell you what, it's a good job no one was sitting on that bench when it came down. I mean, look at that, that'd give you a shock, wouldn't it? Yeah, you wouldn't want to be sitting there, would you? Just spotted something here in these trees. Looking at them, I'm like, what the hell are they? I'm guessing that's somewhere just to kind of just to lie down and then enjoy the forest. That is crazy. So Trish was intrigued by these strange looking beds, so she's going to give one of them a go. They look quite like alien, don't they? I hope you're not going to get beamed up. Yeah. Beamed up to the mothership if you lie down on that. What's it like?
That was pretty good. I haven't been very asleep now. Good night.
all you've got to do is put a tarp up, haven't you, and that's your bed for the night. So we're just about to pitch the tent, and one tip I got off the Fjallraven YouTube channel was when you're pitching your tent, if you put your pegs in your pocket here, it's much easier, so you're not running around looking for your pegs all the time. So so far it's working pretty well. So we've got the tent set up. I've got every guy line pegged out on the tent. I've learnt my lesson the hard way with this this Fjallraven Abisko 2. If you don't peg out all the side guy lines and the wind picks up, or it rains, or even if you get a build up of condensation on the fly sheet during the evening, it begins to sag a little. But if you peg it all out properly, that doesn't happen. You can see how nice and taut the fly sheet is at the moment. Just takes an extra couple of minutes, but it's worth it in the long run. In the past I've been a bit lazy and I haven't bothered pegging out the guy lines. Well folks, it's that time of the evening. I've just cracked open a Brewdog Elvis juice, grapefruit infused IPA. So cheers everyone. Beautiful. I'll just take you through the sleep system. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a foil mat on the ground. This is very thin, it weighs just under 100 grams. It will reflect a little bit of heat and it will give just a tiny bit of protection from the cold ground and your sleeping mat, and it will also help prevent against punctures and that kind of stuff. Now we're using new sleeping pads tonight. I've got an X-Bed Sign Mat Hyperlight Winter. This is the long wide version for me. It weighs 600 grams and it's kind of like a mummy shaped, so it's tapered at the bottom. Now I bought these because the other winter mats we were using were the X-Bed Sign Mat 7 LW long and wide. We bought them originally to use in the hammock hammocks, so they're huge, really comfortable, really warm, but really big and heavy, and they're too big for two of them to fit into that Fjallraven Abisko 2 tent. You know, the mats end up just touching the side of the tent. So so I bought these, and the tapered ends should help with that problem. Now this is the long and wide version. I can fit on a medium wide, but there wasn't any available, so I've gone for the long and wide. This weighs 600 grams, so it's a full 500 grams lighter than my old Sign Mat winter mat. It's rated down to -20, so it's definitely going to keep us warm, and it's 9 centimeters thick. Now Tris, I just got her the regular size. I think is it the medium? I mean, you can see how small that is. It's a lot smaller than the LW, and this weighs 485 grams, and it's also rated down to -20, 9 centimeters thick. But it's only I think like 51 or 52 centimeters long across the top of the shoulder, and that's way too narrow for me. So I have to buy the wide versions, which I think are 65, so that extra 15 centimeters does help. So this is the first time we're going to use these. So another thing I like about the X-Bed mats is that you can just blow them up with a dry bag. They all come with an ultralight medium sized dry bag. I mean, you can put gear in this to keep it dry as well, but I tend to just keep them rolled up. So they just have the valve on the end there. You stick that on the end of the mat, you just fill the bag full of air, roll it up, and you can blow it up. So after a long day's hike, you don't need to blow the mat up and run the risk of passing out. So we're both going to be using the Rab Ascent 700 down-filled sleeping bag. As you can see, it's fairly compact. I think it weighs just under 1.3 kilograms. It's probably a 3-season sleeping bag really. If you want to head up into the mountains of Scotland and in the depths of winter, you might want to be looking at something slightly warmer than this. But if you pair it up with a mat that's rated down to -20, you know, it's easily going to see you through most winter conditions here in the UK. And I'll be honest, often I just get too too warm in this sleeping bag. So yeah, so that's the sleep system. I think the next job is to get it all into the tent. So we're just boiling up some water now, and we're going to give these real termite field meals a go. So this is the kebab stew, and they look pretty decent. Seems to be quite a bit of it as well. How many calories are in them, Tris? Does it say? I think it's about 600, is it?
Yeah, it was quite a lot. Yeah, per 100 grams it says it's 432.
All right.
And it's oh no, 700 calories.
700 calories. That's not too bad, is it?
Yeah.
But we were just wondering whether or not these have those moisture absorbing packs in that you get in all the other dehydrated meals. It doesn't say anything on the packet. We can't seem to find any, can we? So I think we're just gonna give it a go. Well guys, that was really nice. The meal rehydrated beautifully. It was almost like a risotto. It's got a little bit of a spicy kick to it, but it's really nice, so I definitely recommend that. Morning everyone. We had a really good night's sleep last night. It was really still. There wasn't any breeze until about 6:30 this morning. But at the minute, I'm not sure if you can pick it up on the camera, but there's plenty of cloud cover. It's not too cold, and I think rain is forecast by lunchtime. Just going to turn my coffee cup round just so you can see the snow peak there. Look at that. Ah, beautiful. I'm using those Nescafe 3-in-1 coffee. What's coffee?
Coffee.
Coffee.
I don't know what coffee is.
I'm using those 3-in-1 Nescafe coffee sachets. What's a sachet? I can't even speak this morning. Sachet. For my coffee. I'm having a sachet. Yeah, I'm having a sachet of cappuccino, unsweetened. Pretty nice actually. I usually have fresh coffee in the morning, but sometimes it can be a bit of a hassle having to deal with all the mess of the coffee granules and all that kind of stuff. But these are alright. What do you think, Tris?
No, they're really nice.
Yeah, they're not too bad. You get a nice frothy top on them. I don't know how they manage that. Like as soon as you put the water in, it all kind of froths up.
And it's not too sweet.
No, so it's all right. I can recommend those if you're looking for a decent instant coffee. But the breeze has definitely picked up. We're just going to let the tent air for a while. We did get a bit of condensation last night. The sleeping bag was a little bit damp and a little bit on the inside of the tent, but I don't think you can ever avoid that when you're camping in the winter. You know, the temperature is always going to be colder outside than it is in the tent, and you're just going to get some degree of moisture build up. But it's not too bad. We've had it worse. It was worse when we camped at Gunnerside, when it was into the minus figures during the night. But I think last night it only got down to about 2 degrees, 3 degrees, so that's not too bad. So we'll just finish our coffee, relax for a while, let that tent air, and then we've got about 6 miles of hiking to do back to the truck. Well guys, we're all packed up, ready to head off. We've left no trace, just a bit of flattened grass where we pitched the tent. So we've got about 6 miles to do, which should take us around 2 hours if we don't stop. Maybe it's longer if we do stop. But yeah, what a great place to camp. Obviously this place is going to be rammed in the warmer months, but if you make the effort to come in the colder months, there's a good chance you're going to get the place to yourself. So we're almost back to Mossdale now. We're just on the old railway track. The rain came in earlier on, which was forecast, but I thought we might miss it. But it seems to have stopped now. It's pretty windy as well, but it's sheltered in this bit. So yeah, that was a pretty good wild camp. It's good to get out with a backpack on and stretch our legs. I mean, it's only, I think, about a 12.5 mile round trip, but I'm going to be honest, I'm failing it a bit. Not very fit at the moment. Anyway, I think this adventure is done, so I'm going to sign off. So as ever, thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next one.